Of America Rising, we say hello to Alex Wilkes. Alex, thank you for joining Forrest and me in Memphis. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm great, thanks.
Passing of George H.W. Bush, age 94, and we had Robert Caltabiano on yesterday, Alex, and Robert is a former Secret Service special agent in charge and spent lots and lots of time with the Bushes, and I know that you followed the life and times of George H.W. Bush as well, and just he talked about his character and just the way that he treated others, and whoever thought a president would shave his head for a little kid battling leukemia? I mean, really.
I just posted that to my Twitter account last night, and I went back and reread that wonderful story, watched the Today Show interview that was done by President Bush's granddaughter, Jenna Bush Hager, and I am just so touched by this great man, this American hero who wanted to reach this little boy. And I thought it was particularly striking when his granddaughter asked him, do you think that this little boy had any conception of who you are? And he said, no. He said, I was just someone to relate to him. And the fact that he thought enough of this little boy to do that, and then to post that update a couple of years later that he was doing better, really just speaks volumes about the kind of man that he was.
Yeah, and there was also there was a story, I guess, a brief one on Chelsea Clinton, and there was a picture that she had, I guess, had pulled up about the first time she had met Bush, and that just how nice of a guy that he was, and it's okay to stand down for just a minute and quit throwing slings and arrows across party aisles and just recognize character.
That's right.
And it was actually very nice to see in the state funeral yesterday, members from both parties gather to pay their respects. This is just these times that we have as Americans are just few and far between, and I think it really speaks to the character of President Bush. The kind of warm feelings that he was able to generate across the nation, across party lines. And you remember that this is someone who, in his time, had to work with Democrats in order to get things done because there was divided government. So, I think that bipartisan spirit was sort of on display, and it sort of made us all harken back to a much better time in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Well, and I think one of the disappointing things that's going on in all of this, Alex, is some of the rewriting of history. I mean, believe me, as a president, Bush had some faults in it, and I think it's why he only served one term. But some of the mainstream media are trying to misconstrue some of the achievements that he made in those 4 years, and that's disappointing. And it just goes to show, you were talking about putting politics aside. Some people can and some people can't. And I've been disappointed at looking at some of the coverage of it just because, I was a young man then, but I remember things a little differently than some of the mainstream media do.
Well, but so many people forget about everything that he was able to achieve, and a lot of the ways that he did sort of buck the conventional wisdom, and he did stand up to both parties. He was very much his own man, and I think that oftentimes his achievements are overlooked because, of course, he was preceded by Ronald Reagan, this titan in our history, and then Bill Clinton, who was a larger than life character himself. President Bush was very modest. I thought it was great that Vice President Pence yesterday in his speech pointed out that this was a man that was so humble about everything he achieved, arguably the most qualified man to ever serve as president. And he never wrote an autobiography. He never did a book tour afterwards talking about his life. And that just struck me as so different and so unique. And I think that, that's perhaps one of the reasons why a lot of these achievements are overlooked, what he was able to do after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the kind of the peace time that he was able to guide us through as a country, the reunification of Germany. There's so many things out there that go overlooked, and I think that it speaks in a lot of ways to his modesty.
It does. It does. All right. Follow Alex. Follow Alex Wilkes online at Alexandra C. Smith, America Rising. Make sure you follow her, and we would love to hopefully catch you maybe before the end of the year or sometime maybe right after, because we got to talk about there's going to be some changes in Congress, and we want to hear about how to hold Congress accountable on what's coming up this term.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, thanks, Alex.